paramount, upholding your company's standards demands unwavering consistency in every location. At the SBOA, we understand the critical role consistency plays in driving your business's success. That is why we joined forces with MSI to introduce a revolutionary internal audit program tailored to meet the specific needs of your organization. Our game-changing audit program leverages cutting-edge technology and expert insight to bring you unparalleled accuracy and reliability. We know that success in this competitive environment is paved with adherence to operational requirements, and every company has its own standards along with state and local regulations to adhere to. So we've made our internal audit system completely customizable, all in a user-friendly app. The app enables on-site agents to collect real-time data and insights from their respective locations. This feature ensures that information is up to date and allows for quick responses to any issues or challenges that could arise. Our internal audit program also has advanced photo and video reporting capabilities. These visual reporting tools allow leadership to visualize non-compliant sites and gain a comprehensive understanding of the issues, with specific examples for clear context, which enhances communication and leads to faster resolutions. And it can be done with just a few clicks and the snap of a photo or quick video. And our program provides an in-depth understanding of each store's performance and challenges. This feature allows for a comprehensive assessment of how well each location adheres to operational requirements and brand standards, helping to identify areas for improvement. Are you ready to take your self-storage business to the next level? Explore our comprehensive suite of services, including internal audit programs, mystery shopping, and reputation management, and unlock your full potential. Contact us today to embark on a journey of excellence and success. 248-954-9000.
Are you a self-storage owner or operator looking for service providers to help at your facility? Well, the Storage Business Owners Alliance, also known as the SBOA, has you covered. The SBOA is the premier online hub for connecting self-storage owners and operators to industry-leading products and service providers. We provide one-stop shopping for your business with exclusive offers to save time and money. At the SBOA, we believe by coming together, we help owners and operators grow revenue, gain purchasing power, reduce expenses, improve efficiencies, and increase profitability. We also offer many resources such as our conferences and self-storage unlock webinars to help self-storage owners and operators gain the knowledge needed to become more competitive in the industry. To become an SBOA member or to find out more information, please visit www.thesboa.com today. We can't wait for you to join the Alliance.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the SBOA for another one of our episodes of Self-Storage Unlocked. My name is Jessica Johnson. I'm the Vice President of the SBOA, and today we're going to talk all about the pros and cons of high tech in the self-storage industry and all of the transformation and transitions that we're seeing happening out there. We are not able to do these type of webinars without some of our partners. So huge shout out and thank you to storageauctions.com, PTI Security, XPS Solutions, and Call Potential. We have some speakers from each one of those companies with us today. A couple quick housekeeping items. If you have questions for us during today's event, please ask those questions in the chat section. We want to hear from you. We like for these to be interactive, so please feel free to ask questions as we go along. Don't wait until the end. And we will ask poll questions throughout today's event as well. If you could keep your eyes on the chat where we ask those poll questions, if you could answer those for us, it just helps us to get to know you better. So I'm going to dive right in. We're going to announce our speakers and then we're going to get started. So my first speaker is Andy with XPS Solutions. Welcome, Andy.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, tell me a little bit about you, how long you've been in self-storage and what XPS can do for owners and operators.
Yeah, so I've been with XPS Solutions for just about 3 years. And XPS Solutions is one of the industries, or actually the industry original call center for independent self-storage owners and operators. We started about 23 years ago. Funny anecdote, the name XPS actually stands for X Public Storage. Our founders were original founders were from public storage and decided to start this company. So yeah, we focus on call center support and remote management support. And thanks for having us.
Well, thanks for being here. Next up, I have Lonnie Bickford from storageauctions.com and Storage Gives. Good morning, Lonnie.
Good morning, Jessica. How are you today?
I'm good. It's nice and early where you are, right?
It is 7 o'clock in Alaska.
Well, thanks for being here with us so early. Lonnie, tell me all about you, how long you've been in self-storage and what storageauctions.com and Storage Gives can do for owners and operators.
Well, as an owner of storage, I bought my first store, I think about 26 years ago, something like that. Expanded, bought more, built more, went through fires and floods and hurricanes in Louisiana, bought stores in Alaska. So now I have 30-foot piles of snow in the corner of my storage facility. Never had that in Louisiana.
Yeah, right.
And as a board member in Louisiana years back, I had to test online auctions as the SSA was starting to change laws nationwide. I was the guinea pig. Louisiana is known to be a high-tech state. You know, that's why you got me on this call, because all of us Cajuns are right out there on the forefront of technology. Decided, that there was maybe a different way to build a mousetrap on this one, and we started storageauctions.com. And part of the driver behind that was my 19th startup company. I thought I had kind of retired from that, was just going to be a simple little storage owner, was to create a kind of a residual stream of income that we could give to some of the causes I've been participating with for a long time. So Storage Gives came after Storage Auctions, and was just we just finished an event in North Carolina. I guess it was at the end of last week.
Mm-hmm.
And, was that this week or this last week?
North Carolina was this week and Louisiana was last week.
Yeah, trade show season runs together for a while, but I think we ended up with a little over $325,000 raised with Storage Gives this year. And
wow.
We've had a bunch of kids drill water wells, breast cancer home for our troops, a bunch of our grantees, Shriners in Texas. We were able to do over $40,000 raise for them. Mm-hmm. So it's been a great year for Storage Gives. Of course, Storage Auctions is growing like crazy. So it's a good thing all around.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for what Storage Gives does and gives back to charity. I was able to see the power of what you guys did in Louisiana. With human trafficking. There was a lot of money raised for that organization. There was a speaker that came in and spoke all about how prevalent human trafficking is. So again, thanks for all that you do in the industry, Lonnie, and for being here with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Next up, I have Ryan Stewart from PTI Security. What's up,
Hey,
Ryan?
Thanks
Hey.
for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. Tell me all about you and PTI and what you guys do.
I'm just trying to keep up with Lonnie.
Me too. I want to be him when I grow up.
Oh, this is not grow up. No, I've been in the self-storage industry for about 6 years now. Whole run with PTI. So PTI is, as most of the industry is well aware, we've been around for forever. Doing everything access control, all the hardware and software security for access control, everything from the perimeter down to the unit level.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. We can't wait to learn more about security and how advanced security is playing a huge role in self-storage and making an impact. And last but certainly not least, I have Scott Warden with us from Call Potential. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, I'm used to being last. My last name starts with a W, so always the last in line.
You are always the last in line, so nothing new to you.
No.
Scott, tell us all about you and Call Potential. You've been around for a while too.
I've been around the block a little bit, yes. Been in storage for 10 years on the vendor side, done hardware, software. I've been with Call Potential for almost 5 years now. So Call Potential, we're a software company, and we specialize in managing your leads, automating your collections, and redistributing your calls with our call center software. So we help operators from small to large and all these different new models of how to operate remotely managed to on-site premise. And so we make people operate more efficiently.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Scott, and always a pleasure to have you with us. I'm going to bring everybody back up. Yeah, of course. And we're going to get started. Scott, and I want to start with you. When we were doing this planning call the other day, and a lot of us have been, Lonnie and I were just talking, it's trade show season, lots of different trade shows this fall. The general theme at most of those trade shows that I at least experienced was how artificial intelligence is going to start playing a huge role in many industries, self-storage being one. And we do have some artificial intelligence already in play, but just how much more elevated it's going to become. So Scott was telling us a story about Del Taco. And Scott, go ahead and tell us that story and how that AI might trickle its way into self-storage.
Yeah, if you want to look at AI, and right now in storage, you see more of it as a chatbot form. And so everything now is shifting to more conversational interaction engagement. And so Del Taco, they're doing beta tests in California in their drive-throughs. Their drive-through is 100% AI. And so basically what that means is when a consumer comes up, they obviously have a menu to be able to order from. And what they're finding is the AI is extremely accurate, ask questions that you want them to ask, and they're upselling. And so I have a client currently that lives in California. He said he hates Del Taco, went into the drive-through, ordered 5 different tacos, asked for some with extra sour cream. He said it's extremely accurate. So when you think of what it is today, it's not going to be anywhere near, it's going to be a lot more conversational in the near future. And we're going to see that in storage, because if you think about storage, it's a menu. We just ask things differently. Is it a locker? Is it a space? Is it a unit? Mm-hmm. Do you have different dialect? You got the Cajun over here with Lonnie. So we're going to be able to factor all those things in and have that conversation where it actually just sounds like real human.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty advanced technology, something that, it's definitely coming more and more into play. We're seeing even, I think Google's testing it with a Google Assistant where you can call into Google and, Google can make my hair appointments for me through the Google Assistant, and it interacts and talks just like an actual human would. But Andy, I'm going to start with you on this one. We talked about just going into like the simplicity of this for the user experience side. What are like the main factors that the user experience needs to entail for this to be like a seamless process on the transaction side of us getting a new tenant in?
Yeah, I think, as we as we go to all these shows and you have all these vendors, us included, right, that everybody's talking about tech and tech stacks, and we've got the best widget for this and we've got the best widget for that, is that at the end of the day, I think as an operator, you've got to just simplify it and say, am I making it as easy and efficient as possible for to acquire the tenant, make it easy for them to come on board, right? So the basic things, you got to have the online ability to rent, over the phone rentals. If they show up and you're an unmanned, give them options to take care of it while they're standing there on site. And then when it comes to payments, make it easy for them to pay you. Make it easy for them to transact. So you got to go back and just kind of make sure that what you're looking at or whatever you're evaluating for services really impacts the customer experience. And even to the point of, sometimes I think operators, and I love you guys, and I've done many years in retail ops. So I think sometimes we forget not only the customer, we get the customer acquisition process and retention process, but we also got to make it easy for them to arguably leave, right? And that, because I think that when a customer wants to leave, if they've had a great experience and they've been with you for 2 years, make it easy for them to leave as well. If it's really in their forte to leave, they're trying to get out of there, because that's the entire customer experience. It's a cycle of everything that customer has to touch, and everything that you look at evaluating tech wise needs to make that easy and seamless and effective for them. And then obviously on the backside, operationally, if it has impact, it drops your hours, your man hours, your helps your NOI. All those components, those are great. But at the end of the day, the customer experience has to be as seamless and smooth as possible.
Yeah, and I love that you said that it should go full cycle even to the move out, because I would guess the move out process probably tends to be the one that lags the most out of the entire experience. Like, we got them in, they've been paying. Now they're ready to go. It's like, don't let the door hit you, but
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that. So I'm glad that you said full cycle there. Lonnie, you have some properties. So are you implementing any of this tech that Andrew just mentioned? Has it helped create efficiencies for your employees and your operations?
We've got some new stuff going on with our website, where when we direct calls to a certain number from the website, so we understand that they got us that way. It's not our number from our signage on the building. And then we have a component that records the call to text, and then an AI component that actually reads the text looking for keywords like, is this a sales call? Then to where if I want to go back, or a manager wants to go back and review how the call was handled, we don't have to siphon through 20 calls. We can just go to the ones that they call and say, how much is or do you have a 12 by 40 parking spot? We can listen to those calls and those calls only, and then train or fire the person depending on how well they did or didn't do. Got some on the border sometimes.
So I'm sure you do. We all do.
Instead of siphoning through calls, I think the whole industry seems to have gone to recorded calls with Ring Central. We all had a little guitar music when you call a storage facility, when you put on hold and you press 1 and press 2. But to siphon through all the calls to get to the ones that really matter, it's really a pain. And I think a lot of us intend to do it. Our district managers are supposed to do it, but I don't know how much that really happens. But with this grading of a call, it kind of gives us a little more efficiency to actually be able to listen and then train accordingly. I think that's a pretty neat feature.
Well, and then too, with what you said with the tracking, you've got a number on the website. You can track that traffic's coming from your website. You can make sure you're also on the back end that any marketing dollars you've spent to get people to your website are effective marketing dollars. If you're seeing, traffic coming from that source. And I would advise everybody to be tracking all of their different sources to make sure that they're spending their money in the appropriate buckets and not just spending money to spend money. Ryan, you're the security guy for us, and security is like one of those main features that's going to draw me as a tenant. I think price, proximity, and are you going to keep my stuff safe and secure are probably the top 3 questions that pop into a tenant.
Yeah, you want to make sure your stuff is safe and secure. I mean, we all read the news articles online of, these units were broken into and this person, lost vintage cars, and I mean, the list goes on and on. So whatever you're storing, you want to make sure it's secure. Right. And you're looking at your operator, whoever you're choosing to do business with, to see if it's secure. Right. So yeah, for the big picture, I mean, there's a lot of aspects of security and different technology components that go into it. Right. So PTI, we look at from the access control side and really utilizing technology. The biggest part is having active monitoring. Right. All of the point of security and the technology of security comes down to 24/7, 365-day-a-year monitoring, right? Yep. You can't physically, as a person, track and monitor and know exactly what's going on everywhere at all times, right? So utilize technology to tell you what's important. What do you need to know what is happening? Is your stuff secure? Is people being broken into? Is your system down? Proactive notifications so that you, Jessica, Scott, Lonnie, can be notified to go take action and stop whatever's happening, be it just a system issue or something nefarious someone's actually breaking into, right? So that way you're not coming in on Monday morning and realize that a whole wing of your building's been just ransacked through. So you kind of stop that bleeding, if you will, by taking action in real time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you guys have any new advanced systems coming out that are some
always
key benefits for 2024? Can you tell us of any of them? Or are they secrets?
Always. There's always some secrets, and there's always stuff that we'll talk about too, right? You got to keep some mystery there.
You do.
But no, we know, and we've been watching the industry for quite some time, as all of us have, right? Trends and security or technology demands continue to evolve, right? Operators are running more automated, which has different meanings to different people, different levels of automation, so on and so forth. But you got to utilize more technology to achieve that, which are pros and cons to it, which is obviously the point of today's conversation. And as we're operating more in an unmanned type facility, or at least partially, the big trend and demand is really for more unit level security, making sure that all the way down to the actual lock itself is monitorable, electromechanical, and controllable, right? So we've had in the marketplace for a number of years different fully electronic locks, which we're launching in the spring as well, but all the way down to Bluetooth padlocks, right? We launched HELOCs just the last couple of months ago. So now all the existing facilities, you can go around and just swap the actual physical lock and achieve that electromechanical aspect of automation like that.
That's awesome. And that plays a big role, because if anyone out there hasn't read or received the 2023 SSA demand study, they survey, I think it's over 20,000 people, maybe even more than that. Comes out every 3 years, and security is in one of the top 10 features of what potential tenants are willing to pay more for. So it's, you've got to make sure your security features are buttoned up, even down to the unit system security. Like Ryan was just talking about, people are actually willing to pay more for that. And there's certain devices and certain vendors out there like PTI that offer those to us. So if anyone's interested in learning more about those, please reach out to us. Scott, you guys, with your systems, you can collect a lot of different data based, on the tenants. And a lot of these systems have so many data points, right? Sometimes it's overwhelming how many data points. So talk to me a little bit about, the data analytics side and what these guys can be gaining by looking at, relevant data, their occupancy, customer behavior, things like that.
Yeah, Tony was talking about kind of being the show season. Every show we go to, state or national, is all talking about data, AI, all of this technology. And so we have to be able to present it so you can have actionable items. And so like when Lonnie was talking about distributing calls, one thing that we're able to do is we have AI Smart Route that can distribute calls based off of what we know on the phone number. So you can have some actionable items to be able to direct those calls and then be able to act on those. So you know what the type of call that's coming in. And then you see your trends, we know when those types of calls, when calls are coming in. Are they sales calls? Are they service calls? When they're looking to rent throughout the day, through the month. Now that we're getting into a normal self-storage cycle, where we've got the peak seasons more in the summer, in the winter time, it starts to dissipate, and it's going to ramp up again. And so being able to understand those cycles, be able to help with staffing, and be able to help with kind of building their business so that, when they are getting those marketing leads coming in, that they have the ability to actually close the deal.
Absolutely. Anybody else want to add anything that they gain from some of the insights of the data that they look at? Andy, I know your team has access to a lot of data as well.
Yeah, I think data is an interesting topic because it can sometimes be overwhelming, right? I mean, I think it's the vendors that you work with, or the software that you use. There can be a plethora of data out there, but I think it's important to take time to understand your data points. Just as Scott talked about, right? Understand marketing dollars. Where is it going? Where is it coming? I mean, simple things like us as a vendor. When the calls come in, we can actually capture where's that call coming in from, right? And I'm pretty sure Scott's software, they do the same thing, is that so that they can see the owner operator can see where am I getting calls from where I'm trying to market. So if they're doing a pay for ad, or if they're doing a click ad, or they're doing something, even print ads. Sometimes people still do print in local small markets, and it works, right? They can actually measure, is that getting an ROI for them? And so I think taking the time to understand your data is critical. And I would say every vendor probably has their own angle and suggestion on that. And if you haven't asked your vendor, or how do I look at this, or what's a way to look at this data? If they don't have dashboards, ask those questions, and also ask peers in the industry. Ask peers in the industry, especially those like Lonnie, been around a while, right? And they understand. There's some cyclical pieces of information in this industry, even though we've come through a strange time with COVID. But I think there's still a lot of good data out there that a lot of these experts can help you to understand.
Jump on top of that. I mean, I think it's a big general topic and point. But I think that really is where the opportunity lies. And if you look at really what the core of high-tech solutions are and AI or automated information, it's just a matter of being able to, ingest data, right? And then output some actionable state after that, right? And
Definitely.
As an overall industry, everybody has so much data. You have access control event data, you have marketing data, you have call data, you have tenant data, you have all this stuff. And most operators out there, not everybody's, the large REITs and large operators that have a huge team of engineers and data analysts to digest it and make those, tell you what the action is. So it's a matter of kind of even starting small, right?
Yeah.
Look at it from a standpoint, okay, when's my high frequency days? When are people coming in? How can you start to utilize data to make better business decisions, and then tack on that as you move forward?
Yeah, and Ryan, I'm glad you brought that up, because we do have a partnership with a company, if anyone's interested, where Ryan, like you were saying, there's all these different data points that are coming in from all the different, categories within the business. If you're having trouble, taking that information and disseminating it and figuring out, your best plan of action, this company, they're data scientists, they review that data and then they turn it into those actionable items. And they understand the self-storage business. So again, anybody, if they want to get in touch with that group, we could. Lonnie, as an owner operator, are there any things from an operational perspective that you maybe employed some technology that is, saving you guys some time and money?
Well, something that's come to mind I guess with that question, it's something my brand has been doing for a longer period of time. But we work with a lot of third-party guys and get exposed to a lot of different operational processes. And of course, in the auctions space, storage auctions, we have integrations with tenant softwares. In fact, we're just completed our integration with Web Self Storage, who truly probably has the most, we think, efficient API process of all the softwares. Even though web gets a bad rap sometimes, they really did a great job on this. But where this comes into play and ended up in court was in Texas. We had a brand that we did about half of their auctions, and then they had a district manager who did not want online because they wanted that auctioneer to check the files, check the paperwork, and make sure that this tenant was really supposed to be in auction status. And the live auctioneers, there is no technology in what they do. That's the oldest school away. They drive up on a dinosaur, wearing a cowboy hat, talk fast, and do an auction. And this one location in western Texas, auctioneer checked the files, walked out, sold the unit, gave the unit away to a bidder, and they completed their auction. 2 weeks later, the ex-tenant drives up. Gate code won't let him in. PTI's got him locked out. Sorry. Gate code lets him in. He goes to his building. There's no lock on his unit. He opens the unit. The unit's empty. He had made the payment online after the auctioneer checked. Auctioneer doesn't have an API. He doesn't have access to the software, the tenant insurance. The tenant payment records.
Yeah.
They gave the unit away. The judge ruled negligence. The contract limitation of $5,000 was thrown out because it was negligence, not just course of action. And they awarded a $150,000 award because of the sentimental value of his grandma's antique dresser or whatever was in this unit. And he stored negligent. Had he had an API checking with this, the auction would have been canceled and there would have been no sale. That feature, I don't think that feature was even available when SiteLink had one of the first APIs of storage auctions. We partnered with those guys. And now with just about everybody that we have our integrations with, that particular piece is one of the primary reasons of wrongful sale that the tenant pays sometime during that process and the manager didn't catch it. It's so often, the day that they were supposed to check it, you have an assistant manager, a part-timer on actual auction day. They don't know all the ins and outs of everything they're supposed to do. They let the unit go. And when we talk with insurance providers for across the country, one of the number one reasons there's a wrongful sale is this confusion to last minute, did they pay or not? And, the integrations between the storable products, the web self storage, door swap, StoreEdge, most of the providers out there have an API that we're able to do this. And that piece is very practical. It's simple. It's not hard stuff. And it really can save an operator's from ending up in the local newspaper. You sold grandma's collection of Elvis hangers and they were worth $25,000. Elvis gave them to her. It's just practical good stuff. And there's a lot of integrations right now that I think have real meaning. PTI has always had to say, did the tenant pay? Can he come in or not? So they look at the software to find that out. I think that's going to continue to where more vendors are going to be plugged into each other in ways that's going to make operations more efficient and also help this move to remote management. There's just a lot of ways we can work together that way. I think it's going to help the industry.
Yeah, I mean, those system integrations are important. Some people have open APIs, some do not. Some are working on, getting APIs with certain companies, but all of these systems need to talk, and they need to talk to one another in an efficient manner, because, if one breaks, then the next starts to break. It just can snowball out of control. So, Ryan, I'll pass this to you, and then I'll go roundtable on this. How will, is there a way that this makes me stand out from my competitors having certain tech solutions at my facility?
I think one is reputation of how secure the property is, right? Because then you're a tenant. That's where you're trying to pick, right? If this property A looks more secure and has more features that are keeping the riffraff out, right? Then ultimately you're going to choose that one over the other one. You can go as simple as good lighting at a facility, right? To keep it more secure than the next. I think is one side to look at it, but then you also look at just the convenience of the consumer, right? You look from, we're, in my opinion, kind of a lazy culture where, it's more of an inconvenience to talk to somebody, right? So we do everything from our phone, renting cars, airline, banking, food, everything's done through your phone. Same thing for storage, right? So now you're going online, you're searching, your facility pops up within that search query. You make it easy for them to fill out the whole leasing proper or process online, generate the codes, provide them mobile applications, all the stuff, which mobile is almost a given now, right? We do everything from our phone. So if we can provide that to the tenant, because that's what the tenant wants, right? Tenant's a consumer. We're all consumers. So if you look at it, how you would want to be treated, right? Kind of the golden rule of life, but also the same way as a customer, providing that level of convenience and technology and security for your operator or for your tenants is going to give you a leg up over the guy next door that's not doing that.
Yeah, Andy, how about from the call perspective? I mean, there's definitely a competitive edge if an owner operator isn't employing in some sort of like rollover call system, so they're not missing calls. That could really help them stand apart from their competition. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think as much as AI is out there, we still strongly believe that there's still a personal touch that's needed. There's one airline out there, you can Google it, that eliminated their call center about 2 years ago, and the feedback is not positive. And so if, from our perspective, there's still a human touch factor in there, and especially when someone needs help, right? And I think that when you can, as an operator, whether you do, again, there's a variation of models out there, whether you do an unmanned or an unmanned or a hybrid or a hub and spoke or whatever, you're always going to want to have the ability. You can't afford to have coverage when it's convenient for your customers to always reach you. The reality is, if you've got a full-time person 40 hours a week, well, your customers are calling at different times. And we've actually done the data enough that shows, about 30% of your calls come in the window that you're probably not staffed. And so, what that means is that you're missing opportunities to acquire new clients, but also that customer experience and servicing those clients. So I think that's a big piece. Integration goes back to that real quick conversation about integration. When you're looking at your service providers, they all should integrate well to where it's a seamless process for that customer, so that if you call and you have a gate issue, that we can look at it and say, oh, well, you need to get your payment in and process the payment. And then, all of a sudden we get you back into your facility, and all those systems talking to each other, and software management and access control and everything. So from our perspective, I think it's a huge piece. So.
Yeah. I'm going to ask this one from the audience, and we'll go around, and I'll start with my answer first. Any advice for someone new to the self-storage business looking to become an owner? One, join the SBOA Storage for Rookies training program that's happening in December.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. I have no shame. I don't care. Join Rookies. Two, join either the national or your local state or state association. and get as educated and plugged in and as networked as possible, and join all of the shows. Come learn, meet us in person. That is my suggestion. Scott, what's your suggestion?
Well, if you're new, yes. And one thing you're going to realize in this industry, there's a lot of knowledge that's out there that people want to share, from the vendor side to even operators. You might think that your neighbor's your competitor. They are, but they also want to see you be successful too. They don't want you to undercut them. So the state association, the national association, rookies, those are some really good resources. Even us on the panel, we don't do everything, but we know somebody that does. Absolutely. Use us as a resource.
Definitely. Lonnie, how about you?
Well, it would be an interesting time to come in as a brand new owner with interest rates so high. The banks are really, really tight right now on what they demand. And not having experience would make it, from an interest rate standpoint, you would be looking at the 8s and up, and that's a scary place to get a loan. So either win the lottery first and come in with a lot of cash would be a great thing to do. It's the opposite. If you do have cash, prices are down because interest rates have driven them down. So you may can pick up a property now at an 8 cap if you've got enough cash to get in that game. And a few years from now, when interest rates go back down, you'll be in a good spot. But it would be really tough right now to break into this. And I'll say this: small storage is a bad hobby, and large storage is a great investment. When you start getting these 80 unit, 120 unit stores and running that as a standalone, not as an annex or a remote site from a hub facility that's larger. I did that to start with. My first one had 43 units. My next one had 66 units. Terrible idea. It just didn't have enough cash flow to pay for any help. You've got to go out and cut the grass, pick up the trash, meet somebody on Saturday to make to rent them a unit, but they no-showed you and you sat there for 3 hours waiting on them. And get a real store if you're getting in the game. Get your 400 units on the minimum side, or this can really be a tough way to get into the rental business, I think.
I agree with that last portion of that statement. Get something that's sizable and worth your time. Places that have like less than 50 doors and stuff, sometimes that becomes more of a headache than what it's worth, right?
Yes.
Andy, anything you want to add to what you could suggest for a new owner coming in?
I would suggest take the opportunity. There's a plethora of resources out there, and not every one of them is good. But there is so much information out there. Get yourself plugged in with owners and operators, people that are actually operating today, right? And functional today, network, and be willing to listen to advice like Lonnie, right? And they say, hey, you might want to consider this at this time of the buying cycle. So I think just get involved, ask questions, listen. Don't act like you're coming in knowing you know everything, even though you might have book knowledge or something YouTube video you watched online, and just listen. And it'll help you build that knowledge for when you're ready to actually pull that trigger.
Yeah,
for sure. Ryan, anything you want to add?
Nothing except for echoing what everybody else has said. But I think to get in right now, you just have to be even more strategic and prepared and educated on what you're going to do. Versus maybe previous years, but my mind went straight to what Lonnie was talking about. Just the environment, be it financial and even competition of everybody out trying to buy each other up and whatnot. It's definitely a tougher market at the current state.
Yeah, definitely. So coming back to pros and cons, we talked a lot about the pros of technology. Now let's talk about some of the cons of technology. Tech is great when it works, right? There's been no buffering on this webinar yet. Everybody's clear. So far, so good. But Systems can break, just like any machine can break, a vehicle can break. So can this technology. So let's talk about some backup plans that they should probably have. Ryan, I'm going to start with you first because
Absolutely.
security obviously is a big component of this on both sides. The owner wants to make sure that the property is secure. Tenants want to make sure that their property is secure. What if it breaks down? What should they do?
That's something everybody has to consider. Right. And I think there's also stepping back a little bit when people are looking at, okay, I'm going to go more automated, unmanned, use technology to do everything. I can just eliminate all my staff and just rely 100% on tech and hardware and software to be able to run my facility. There's also that risk, as you mentioned, of what happens when something goes wrong or who's managing the back end of all this stuff. So you still need to be prepared and positioned with a team behind the scenes that's monitoring this stuff constantly to take action. My biggest piece of advice is, you're going to utilize, obviously from my side, I look from the access control side, is partnering with the right local resources, local dealers, integrators, installers, what have you, whatever you want to call them, that are there and equipped to be able to, in close proximity, right, to be able to come over and help troubleshoot. A lot of times issues come down to wiring. Right, wiring is a big component, so we can monitor this stuff remotely. But partnering with somebody locally that can come in and make sure things fixed in a timely manner is going to be hugely important.
Yeah, Lonnie, from the payment side, have you ever had a payment breakdown where you couldn't receive your payments or people couldn't make payments to you?
Oh, he muted himself.
Oh, is he muted?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
We had a software provider double charged everybody's credit card at the first of the month, and that was not a fun week of, there was a little play on somewhere nationally. One of the tenants that this happened to wasn't at my brand. Her check bounced. That overdrew her account. Her check bounced. She couldn't get her medicine. She's on the local news complaining about the storage facility that had charged her too much, and now she couldn't get a diabetes medicine. Of course, the news made a big deal out of it. That was a terrible situation for anybody involved in that. But right now I've got a gate that won't close. It's not a PTI issue. The keypad works great. It's the actual LiftMaster motor and the chain system. Blame it on the snow or something. I don't know. It's worn out. It's not working today. And actually hadn't worked for 3 days. So the local technician won't get out till Friday. And, in Louisiana, I probably had enough pull with the local guys that they'd maybe shove me to the front of the list. But in Alaska, they don't care who I am and don't know who I am. And they put me at the end of the week. And, that's it's not really cool when your gates open with big floodlights shining on it on the highway all day every day. And I've gotten multiple calls. Hey, your gate's open. Your gate's stuck open. That's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's definitely not fun to have that happen. Andy, what about on the call side? Calls are dropping, calls aren't coming through. I mean, if we aren't getting calls, we aren't getting tenants. So what's a backup plan in those scenarios? I mean, what can you really do?
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, I'll go back to the payment piece. I think, one of the things, and it's kind of goes into a little bit of both, is that when you have a backup, right? So when Ryan was talking about, have contacts and think through different things, think of what, if something fails, what is the backup? Mm-hmm. So in the instance of, if you're working with a provider like that offers the ability for tenants to be able to do a IVR or AI, whatever you want to call it, phone pay that ties right into your software system, is you got to have a backup if that starts to fail, right? If that kicks you out, if a tenant can't make their payment, what is the option, right? Where can they go? What can they do? So for example, like with us, and I'm pretty sure it's with most IVR systems, is if it doesn't go through, the card number's wrong, the card got entered wrong, something's not right, it'll kick over to an agent. So it allows them to still take the payment and they still get their money, and the client is still, satisfied, and everybody's able to move on. But I think having a redundancy or a backup plan is really key. Phones are a little tricky because you get kind of, when you start to port your number over to another provider or it's going a different direction, you got to figure out where that breakdown is. And that's where I think it comes down to, like with, Ryan said, as a backup team or a team that can see it or be aware of it or address it quickly, and try to sort it out and figure out where that breakdown is. So I think and sometimes that happens, right? Even if you're a small operator and you're not using a call center or anybody else to answer your phones, you're just getting it forwarded to your mobile. Sometimes that forwarding service that you used or, whoever you're using, sometimes that breaks, and so you just got to be thinking through the what ifs. If this breaks, what can I do? What can I offer? What are my next steps, so that you're not panicked in the middle of it, trying to figure it out and scramble and look flustered and not look professional, I think, at times. So just think through what your redundancy plan is.
And what about, Scott, I'll ask you this one. So we're talking about, if stuff starts to have some breakage, how will we communicate this to the tenants so that they're aware, so you're not getting all of like this overload of calls of, your gate's open, your gate's open? Should we email them, call the tenants? What should be the plan of action for the manager?
So when you have kind of your emergency plan, the FMS, the facility management software, does have ways that you can easily communicate. Have those things all prepared. That would be certainly one of the starting points. The other thing is, when you add new technology, you still have to have people embrace it and use it. So it has to start from the top down. There are people that certainly might not want to see it fail. They might want to see things not work, but you really have to have the top down, be able to get that buy-in for it to work. So when you are looking for things, not only are you investing the dollars, but you're also investing kind of, hey, we're going to be able to use this. We're going to make sure that it's going to accomplish what we need to do. And then you can see certainly the benefits of it. But you can see how it can fail is when there's not an adoption.
Jessica, I'd like to, if I may, touch on one more of the redundancies and a store facilities process around an area that, again, is a liability, and that's the auction side. Sure. And the part is who's keeping the data. When the tenant ran off with the new boyfriend, girlfriend's in prison, whatever, gets out, oh boy, got a cousin who's a lawyer. They're calling around. They sold my junk or my stuff. We don't sort junk.
There's stuff.
Yeah. So we had a recent conversation with some of the software providers about being able to, through the API, pull the leases and put in our repository of the data that happened around that auction. And they're like, well, they didn't want to do it. They said, why do we need to include that? I said, well, the store wants all this information in one spot. I said, so instead of you sending me the lease, how about they send you all the pictures and I don't have to store them? Because the terabytes of data that become part of your storage plan as a software company is quite expensive. My Amazon charges are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to store stuff that pretty much no one looks at until they get tired of the new boyfriend or girlfriend or get out of prison. They call the cousin, the lawyer, and now they want to find out what happened to their treasure belongings stored at a facility. Right now, the industry is very mixed on what the vendors are doing. There's some software that says he moved out, doesn't matter anymore. We don't need to keep much of anything of the record. I think that some of them are purging at 4 months. We used to say at Storage Auction, we'll keep your stuff forever. Well, forever turned out to be a long time and a lot of pictures, and the phones have higher, definite resolution pictures. So the terabytes involved in the storage, it turns into a whole big cost that I know Storable and I have talked about, how are we going to do this, take care of our customers. But I would suggest as a brand, a storage brand, find out from your auction provider, look at your auction process, because that's the one thing that may come back 6 months or 8 months after this tenant we think is gone. They may come back and say, hey, you sold my stuff. My credit card expired. You never called me. Didn't get the letter. Whatever reason they can find a breakdown in the statutory requirements, they're going to come at everything they can. You need to have that file. Ask your attorney for how long. I think the insurance companies say after about 13 months, you very seldom you get someone thinking they're going to come back and get their stuff. But it's not like taxes. This is a little bit different. It's not like you got to keep your tax record for so many years. But the providers, the tenant providers and the auction companies are kind of all in a little bit different place right now. And as a storage brand, it'd be really good to have something in process. One thing a judge likes is a piece of paper. So if you print all this stuff, stick it in a file for your auction units. You're pretty safe there if you keep that for a few years, but something to find out.
Yeah, it's a good point to bring up. But as we close up, because we have about 7-8 minutes left, I just want to go round table. And this can be related to your own company or another company or something that you've heard of coming out and about in the next upcoming months in self-storage that you're excited about. Scott, anything that call potential, storable, or you've heard of coming out there that you're excited about?
I'm excited about a lot of things certainly coming in the future. So we recently got acquired by Storable, part of the Storable family. One of the things I really am excited about is we're going to be able to accelerate to market a lot sooner. So we've got a lot of resources that are going to be behind. AI is a big piece of it. And how that evolves, again, how it is today is going to be completely different in 6-12 months. And you're going to see this whole evolution. Sounds scary, but it's really exciting, especially if you're a tech geek like me.
Yeah. Lonnie, how about for you guys?
We have some additional integrations. We're trying to bring some folks in the industry and outside the industry into some more of a streamlining of processes that we think if we can make the stars align, we think there's a really smooth communication process that can be applied, whether you're a one-store operator or a REIT. I mean, there's really kind of no one doing what we're looking at, but with technology, with cooperation amongst vendors, we think there's some new things on the horizon we're really excited about by first quarter.
Well, that's exciting. Can't wait to see what those are. Andy, how about for you guys at XPS or anything that you've seen that you're interested in?
Well, I'll take this time to shameless plug us. We're super excited about the technology that we have and we've had for a long time to be able to offer the remote management services that we offer today, which is new to the market for us. We just started it about 60-90 days ago public. So, when you are looking at tech stacks and you're looking at ways to drive efficiency and drive execution and get all these things done, we can also, staffing is a problem, right? It's a challenge. Finding a body, finding somebody that's going to be there consistently, answer the phones, do all the things they need to do at a management level is sometimes tough. And so with our remote management service, we leverage technology and the human touch factor and make sure that you are covered. So we'd love to, if anybody's interested in talking about that, give us a holler, but we appreciate it. And we leverage the two, tech and people.
That's awesome. Yeah. And people are, finding good resources, finding good staffing has been a challenge for the self-storage industry in the past several months and years. So thank you for going through that.
You can whole another topic you can get into, but there's a law coming out in California that's making fast food workers go up to $20 an hour. I think it's in March. So
wow.
Yeah. Now compete with non-skilled labor at $20 an hour.
Yeah.
Del Taco cured that.
Yeah.
That's probably why they're doing it.
Exactly right.
Ryan, how about you? We'll round off this topic.
Absolutely. I think it's currently exciting times. I think the next couple of years will be exciting. as demand of technology and appetite of the industry evolves, there's new entrants, new competition, new products coming to market that helps push all of us. But I think, PTI specifically, as we started off, we're launching some new products, all door security, electromechanical locks. I think what's really exciting currently and will keep driving is further integrations and deeper data integrations with other vendors. Talk about SSM, we're talking about the financial side, so working closely with them, as well as a group like Storage Defender for inside the unit, smart monitoring. So partnering close with other vendors to help create, what is that potential right solution for the end user? Because there is no one size fits all solution. So partnering with the right people and the right vendors to provide that path for somebody to make it easy for them to adopt. That's the goal we're shooting for.
Brian, quick question for PTI. With technology as it matures, and especially with hardware, a lot of time component prices start coming down. Are we going to see a door lock that's affordable for the not richest California and Scottsdale, Arizona stores that bring this price down?
I think for everybody except for you.
Good answer.
No, but
then you got to have a battery that works at -20, so that I'm out.
No, and it'll be interesting to watch. Right now, I don't have anything to tell you officially, but as technology and things evolve, prices evolve as well, right? Just like your smart TV at home. So I don't have any dates to give you, but I would like to see that too.
Call me when you get it.
I got you.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. I want to go over a few quick ending announcements for you all. Scott, you guys have something happening with Call Potential and 10 Federal later today. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so talking about technology, so we're going to do a spotlight for one of our clients, 10 Federal. When you talk about somebody that's really innovative, they also came out with the Da Vinci locks. They've been operating remotely now for, I think, close to a decade. They use two-way video. They use call center. They use a lot of different technology, and they're on the cusp of adding even more. So 1:30, I think it's in the channel here. Free webinar. Love to have you. Can't make it, we'll have it on rewind.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Scott. And just so anyone knows, any of the SBOA Self-Storage Unlocked webinars and podcasts that we put on, just like these, they're always recorded. They're always out on our YouTube channel. So if you've ever missed one or you want to go back and rewatch one, if you visit us on social media and go to YouTube, you'll be able to do that if you like and subscribe to our channel there. Speaking of which, we are off next week because it's Thanksgiving. So I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday next week and enjoys the Thanksgiving holiday with their friends and family. But we will be back the week after that on Thursday, November 30th. And we're going to do the 2023 year in review. I will be interviewing Chuck Gordon, who is the CEO of Storable. Storable has a lot of data that they analyze throughout the year. So Chuck's going to give us a really comprehensive overview of what we saw go on in 2023 and kind of some predictions for what they think is going to happen in early 2024 for us. And last announcement, Thursday, December 14th is our final Storage for Rookies of the year. If you would like to join that and get a free ticket, the promo code is Free Rookies SSU. Again, that's Free Rookies SSU. That expires tomorrow. So please go and register, get that free ticket, share the event with your friends and family. Again, thanks everyone for being here with us. Stay tuned. We have a couple ending videos for you to watch. And we'll see you back on November 30th for the 2023 year review. Have a good week, everyone, and have a happy
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Meet Smart Route, where callers are identified instantly, whether they're leads or current customers, so you can know where the caller is at on their journey the second they ring, helping you to reduce call volume and keep only high-value calls on the line. Meet the Call Script Designer, where you can design the perfect scripts for your callers, choose from various response types, and deeply customize every element that fits your current needs. And when it's time for move-ins, manage them entirely over the phone. From costs to tenant info and payment, all the way to e-sign. Ready for follow-ups? Here you can customize workflows that are tailored directly to your ops. Take the friction out of follow-ups and convert more leads. Everything you need to succeed in one place. Get started today.
Storage auctions or lien sales are a costly hassle. You don't see storage facility owners on the storage auction TV shows. That's because storage auctions mean lost rent and lower occupancy. StorageAuctions.com gives you a better way to handle the worst part of the business by turning the chaos of auction day into a controlled process. We provide an online auction system that puts you in control and gives you an effective way to actually have fewer auctions and higher recovery rates. With traditional storage auctions, many facilities can't have frequent or monthly auctions, and that means that some units sit accumulating more delinquent rent until you have enough units for an auction. You then may have to pay an auctioneer and endure the disruption to your business on auction day. This is not what you want. With StorageAuctions.com, you can have an auction anytime, and you don't pay auctioneer fees or have to deal with any disruption from crowds of bidders at your facility. Online auctions attract more bidders from farther away, and that means when you do have an auction, you get a higher recovery rate. With StorageAuctions.com and the ability to have an auction anytime, we show you how to use the auction to improve collections so that you actually have fewer units go through the sale. Lower delinquency and higher occupancy means that your business becomes more valuable. To see how our system works, contact StorageAuctions.com today to speak with an auction coordinator.
If I were you, let's say you have 5 properties, and you realize, look, I can't staff enough property managers to cover all my hours and not miss opportunities I'm probably going to have in the market. I can't staff enough people to keep all of my tenants happy all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my own business development process here for my properties. I'm going to hire, 2, 3, 4 people to cover 100 plus hours a week to make sure we're there for them. I'm going to train them. I'm going to write software to be able to talk to my site management system. I'm going to record calls and do quality assurance on them. I'm going to drive my promotional special. I'm going to do all this here in my central office. If I'm you, the very first thing, once I understood the value of that concept, I would look for somebody to do it for me instead of me doing it myself, because I could never make that a profitable venture. It would never pencil. That's why this company exists. We solve that problem. We are your national sales center.